Lately online, I've seen a lot of discourse about professional VGC players who hack their teams in. This has been brought to attention by Kfotics, who is a prominent data miner and PK Hex dev. He and a lot of his supporters criticize pros for hacking when it's extremely easy to build a competitive team in Gen 8. But why do all these pros still hack? And why is this an esport where you can just ignore a fundamental part of the game? Well, I think it goes all the way back to the birth of competitive Pokemon in Gens 4 or 5. You see, in modern games, there's multiple accessible ways to get either like a good IV Ditto for breeding or a legendary Pokemon with perfect stats. But Gens 4 and 5 do not have these features. And without these accessibility features, it becomes unreasonably time-consuming to produce a team with good IVs. And so back then, it became the cultural norm in the community to just hack in your teams. To demonstrate this, I'm going to recreate the World Championship team from 2011 without any hacking at all on a freshly completed save file in Pokemon White. For fun, I'm also going to get every single one of these Pokemon shiny, even if on the original team they weren't shiny. Everything else from nature to IVs to EVs, it'll all be perfectly identical. I will also do my best to minimize any aid I would get from having other games. So what is allowed then? Well, me being me, I'll RNG manipulate everything possible to make this as quick as I can. Even with RNG, everything is still going to take a really long time, but it definitely will help. In addition, some items in Pokemon are unobtainable without the Dream World, a defunct online service that would allow you to get berries or unique Pokemon or hidden ability. Every item or Pokemon I'd have to get this way, I'll tackle when I come to it. But just know this is not a hurdle they would have had to deal with in 2011. This save has completed the entire story and done what I assume are reasonable post-game casual play, such as finding all the items in Undelabe's dive puzzle to get a bunch of money, getting all the good rewards from the entry and the pass powers, and I've done the 6 Sages post-game quest. I haven't done the battle subway for BP, and I have not gone out of my way to pick up any TMs or special items, so I'll have to get those too if I didn't find them along my journey naturally. Last but not least, I'm going to be keeping track of how long this entire process takes. I'll have a timer in the corner of the video, and after every task I complete, I'll say how long it took me and add it to our total amount of time. This timer is in real time, as I recorded literally everything I did for this video and have all the VODs for it. So without further ado, let's start the setup. The first thing I'm going to do for this will take the longest. I'm going to need all of the power items for EV training. This is nothing more than a grind in the battle subway. It sucks because in order to constantly win, you're going to need to have a good team. But without all these items, it's hard to get a good team, and there's no way to acquire them otherwise. I could just use the Macho Bracer, but that would take a bit longer to train every Pokemon this way, and if I wanted to train more than one team or Pokemon, getting the power items will actually save a lot of time. This is extremely time consuming. After all is said and done, this took me 5 hours of BP grinding just to get these items. 5 hours. This is a huge barrier of entry for competitive play, and dozens of items are locked behind this mode. But with all these items acquired, we can start catching Pokemon. Now, before I actually start getting the Pokemon I want, we're going to need to do some prep for breeding and RNG manipulation. The first thing I'll need is 2 Chatot, who are a Dream World exclusive Pokemon. I could have just traded them up from a Generation 4 game, but I thought it'd be more in the spirit of Gen 5 to get what would have been a Dream World Pokemon. Now, I just used a save editor to put them into my entry forest, and I didn't have to, but I thought it would be more fun that way to have them in Dream Balls. This is the only time I'll be hacking or using a save editor at all. I did it for more thematics than anything else. It wasn't necessary. Like I said, I could have sent it for my heart goal. Once I have my 2 Chatots, I'll need to grab a Flame Body Pokemon to expedite egg hatching, so I just caught several Litwick until one had Flame Body. As a quick aside, for those who do not know how to RNG manipulate in Gen 5, I'll do a very brief explanation of the steps of it and what I'm doing so you can follow along a bit easier. So the randomness in Gen 5 is for the most part determined by the date and time down to the second when you launch the game. Then from there, it's split into 2 parts and only called upon when needed, such as when an NPC moves in a random direction or something like that. The first part it's split into is called the IV RNG, which basically never moves unless you're in a battle. But since a Pokemon is generated before you battle it, we just aim for frame 1 of this to have 31 in all of its stats because it's really annoying to advance it forward any other way. The second part is called the Personality ID RNG, which is very easy to manipulate. Having a Chatot with a recorded chatter advances this by 1 every time you look at its summary, and it is what determines the pitch of Chatot's cry. This is both how I control the Personality ID RNG and how I determine if I hit the right seed. So with that explanation out of the way, the next thing I did was to prepare for EV training by getting myself PokeRus. For those who don't know, PokeRus is a permanent status condition that doubles the amount of EVs you get, but it's super rare. It's like a 1 in 65,000 chance to get. I did this using RNG manipulation because without it, it would take forever. Lincoln LM wrote a Python script telling you what IV RNG frame ending a battle with will cause PokeRus to occur. This is a little trickier than most black and white RNGs because while in battle, the IV RNG advances at 120 frames per second with 2 Pokemon on the screen and 60 frames per second with 1 Pokemon on the screen. So I have to first KO the Woobat and then end the battle battle using both 1/60th of a second precision. This means this is a double frame perfect trick, but after a couple of tries, I got it. I then spread the PokeRust to as many of my Pokemon as possible and put some of them in the PC for later, because PokeRust will fade in 24 hours if you do not store a Pokemon in the PC. The final preparation step I did was getting a 6 IV Ditto for breeding. Ditto is only found in the Giant Chasm, and so I headed there and saved. Now, RNGing in this game without Sweet Scent is a bit of a pain, but you can't use Sweet Scent where fog is. However, you can do a little trick to remove the fog. So if you save in the Giant Chasm, change time to be 1 month forward, and load the game up and get into a battle, when you leave the battle, the fog is gone for some reason. Even if you save and reset, the fog stays gone until you leave the Giant Chasm. So I do that trick, I save, then I RNG the Ditto. It's a quiet nature, but it has 6 IVs, and the nature doesn't particularly matter, since getting any nature that you want from breeding is pretty trivial. I believe that's all the setup done. I have the Chatos I need to RNG, a Flame Body Pokemon for hatching, PokeRust, and a Ditto. With that, I'll move on to what I had to do to obtain each of the individual Pokemon for my team. All in all, this setup work took a total of 6 hours and 49 minutes, and I haven't begun to get any of the actual Pokemon for my team. Oh boy. After a lot of research and asking Ray Rizzo himself for clarification, I've got my team. Here is the PokePaste. I think the easiest part of this team will be getting Terrakion, since it won't require any egg moves or anything like that. So the first step will actually be to catch Cobalion. I haven't done this, so I have to make my way through the cave and RNG him real quick. Catching Cobalion unlocks the other 2 Swords of Justice, so after I got him, I go for Terrakion. Terrakion is simple, and I actually use the exact same frame and method as I did for Cobalion. Both of these Pokemon have the exact same IVs, nature, and PID. There's nothing super hard about Black and White RNG, but I did have to do about 340 Chatot flips to hit my target, so I certainly had to be patient. Terrakion added another 37 minutes to my goal, so now we're at 7 hours and 26 minutes of team building time. After Terrakion is caught, I'll be moving on to the breedable members of this team. I'm putting off doing Thundurus because Roamer RNG is notoriously difficult in Gen 5, and I don't want to do it yet. So first up is Timber. I set out to catch a Brave Timber as the first parent. I thought the easiest way to do this would be to catch a Brave Synchronizer and then run around and use that to catch a Timber that was Brave to breed with my 6 IV Ditto. This is where you might notice, if you look at the PokePaste, that Conkeldurr is in fact not Brave, but Adamant. During this Timber breed, I made a comical amount of errors because I did not do the proper research on how to breed this thing. So I'm going to take you through every stupid mistake I made on this section. You see, I thought Timber needed 2 egg moves, Mach Punch and Drain Punch. And after a lot of searching, I realized the only way to get Drain Punch and Mach Punch on a Timber at the same time was from a Hitmonchan in Gen 4 that had learned Drain Punch from TM and Mach Punch via level up. So I bred my Brave Timber with the 6 IV Ditto, making sure the egg was a 6 IV female Timber. Then I got a Hitmonchan I had in Gen 4 and used TM60 and Heart Scale on it, so it learned Drain Punch and remembered Mach. Then I traded that up to Gen 5 using Poke Transfer. After that, I did another quick egg RNG and ended up with a beautiful 5 IV shiny Timber that was Brave, and it had both Mach Punch and Drain Punch. At this point, I just needed 2 TMs, Rock Slide and Protect. I didn't have Protect. It's a reward from Professor Juniper after seeing a certain amount of Pokemon, but luckily I had already met the requirements and snagged it and a few other TMs from her, notably Hidden Power. As I was putting the final touches on this Timber, I double checked the PokePaste to make sure I hadn't missed anything, and lo and behold, Timber has Detect, not Protect. Detect is also an egg move, and it normally wouldn't matter since they both function identically. However, there's this move called Imprison. It causes the user to prevent all opposing Pokemon from using any moves that the user also knows, as long as the user remains active in the field. In singles, this isn't a very good move, but in doubles, this is a move with a definitive niche. Protect is almost on every single Pokemon in the format, and running Detect over Protect is superior because less Pokemon will have that move, and it will lower your chance of being stopped by Imprison. Luckily, this is an easy fix. Hitmonchan also learns Detect by level up, so I can just use my same father Hitmonchan after leveling him up a little bit. I use Lucky Egg and the EXP point power up from the entry to make things go as quickly as possible. Once that's done, I repeat the exact same breeding process for another Brave 5 IV shiny Timber, this time with all 3 of the proper egg moves, and now I only have to teach it Rock Slide. It's not until I upload the picture of this Timber to Twitter that user Gavin Lee 999 notices that Brave plus 31 IV in speed doesn't seem to make much sense. I respond, I'm just following the PokePaste. I recheck the PokePaste, it's Adamant. I got the nature wrong. I want to die. So finally, After repeating the RNG a third time because I didn't do any research and pay any attention, I get the right Timber. It's adamant. It's got 5 31 IVs, it's got all 3 required egg moves, and it's shiny. With that done, I can move on to breeding Dino. Timber took a total of 3 hours and 34 minutes, making my new total team building time 11 hours and 11 minutes. At least we're at 2 Pokemon now. With Dino, I had learned my lessons from Timber. I did all my research in advance and knew I would need to breed it with an Arbok from Gen 4 because for some reason, this Darkness Dragon does not learn Dark Pulse by level up. Luckily, that was the only move I had to worry about. So I set out to catch a wild 5 IV female Dino with a modest nature to be the mom. After a few hundred shout out cries, I catch a female 5 IV Dino, and once that's done, I get a random Arbok from Gen 4, buy some Dark Pulse TMs, and teach it to it. Once again, I trade it up from Gen 5 to serve as the father. Then I repeat the breeding process, and after 89 shout out advances, I've got my 5 IV modest shiny Dino. First try this time, and it feels awesome. Even though I got it first try, it still took 1 hour and 29 minutes because of all the extra stuff I had to do via Gen 4 and catching a different parent aside from the Ditto. Now, with Dino complete, I'm at 12 hours and 41 minutes total. Onward to Carablast. This is the first Pokemon I'll be breeding that I can get everything I need with just things from Gen 5. I'll first RNG the father, a Venipede. I need Megahorn as an egg move, so the male parent needs to be a Scolipede with that move. After I RNG manip the Venipede, I grind levels using more pass powers until it evolves into Scolipede. It actually learns Megahorn via the move relearner, since Scolipede learns Megahorn at a level that's impossible for it to be a Scolipede at. So I have to show the girl in Driftvale a Pokemon with workup to get a heart scale. Then I teach Scolipede Megahorn. Then I randomly catch a female Carablast to be the second parent. It's a cool 177 chatters away, and upon hatch, I have a shiny adamant 5 IV Goodbug. Carablast was actually really seamless. This took 42 minutes on the dot, and my new total is 13 hours and 23 minutes. And for my final breed, I need a Gothita. To start, I'm playing Pokemon White, and Gothita is only found in Pokemon Black. Luckily, since I have multiple DSs and both black and white versions, I can trade with myself instead of my friends. Gothita actually has no egg moves at all, so it ends up being the only Pokemon I absolutely needed Ditto for. A cool 94 Chatot flips later gets me a calm 5 IV shiny Hot Topic. Luckily, all of Gothita's required moves are TMs. I already have Psychic and Substitute, then it's just a quick trip to the Nimbasa Pokemart to get Thunder Wave and Safeguard. Gothita also went really smoothly, and it only took me 42 minutes as well. Now I'm sitting at 14 hours and 5 minutes. As you can see, the more I do breeding, the less mistakes I make and the faster it goes, and the smoother it goes. Now for the Pokemon I have been dreading the entire time, Thundurus. I said in my brief RNG explanation that the personality ID is easy to control, and this is mostly true. However, this becomes untrue during weather events, and no weather is more difficult to control than Tornadus and Thundurus in Gen 5. This advances the personality ID RNG extremely quickly, and I have to use a timer to make sure that I always hit the exact right frame. It's about a 1/60th of a second precision, and it's never really exactly consistent. The first time I did this RNG a few years ago, it took me about a week of attempts. However, I've since done much more difficult RNG manips, and I guess all that practice paid off, because once I found a seed to hit, which was a journey in and of itself, it only took me 2 attempts of over 700 Chatot flips to get the 5 IV shiny Bold Thundurus with HP Ice. After it was all said and done, Thundurus took me on its own 2 hours and 37 minutes, making my new total time 16 hours and 43 minutes. But with all 6 members of my team captured or obtained, it is time to move on to EV training, leveling, and attack completion. In this section, I'll be covering EV training, leveling up, and getting any attacks I don't already have. In VGC this gen, you needed to be at or over level 50, because it will level you down to 50 if you're over it, but not up to level 50 if you're under it. In addition, some of my Pokemon need moves that are level up, and also a lot of them evolve via level up. Now for a quick overview of how EV training in Gen 5 works. First of all, any stat can have up to 255 EVs in it, but since EVs can only give you 1 stat point per 4 EVs gained, that's wasting 3 points you could spend elsewhere. So the actual most amount of EVs you should ever give in a stat is 252. That means it's extra important to keep an accurate count of how many EVs you have when going to 252, because if you accidentally go over, you're wasting points. Now there's 3 main ways of gaining EVs in these games: vitamins, wings, and KOing Pokemon. I will be ignoring wings since they're a bit of a chore to grind for, and you only get 1 EV per wing. They can be useful, I just didn't utilize them. Vitamins give 10 EVs per use, and you can only use 10 on a given stat for a total of 100 EVs per stat with the given vitamin. This is useful for cutting back on Pokemon grinding. They can be expensive, so before any training, I'm going to use the bargain pass power to buy the vitamins I need at a much cheaper price, 4,900 Poke Dollars as opposed to 9,800, which is a big discount. I just looked at the Poke Paste to see roughly the amount of vitamins for each Pokemon I would need and bought them now. This saves pass orbs so I don't have to use the bargain power more than a few times. Lastly is the KOing Pokemon method. Every Pokemon gives you anywhere between 1 and 3 EVs when you KO it, and the amount that you get is based on a Pokemon's species. In addition, if you have Poke Rust, this doubles the amount of EVs you gain when you KO a Pokemon. So 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, and 3 becomes 6. Finally, there are items that boost how many EVs you get when you KO a Pokemon. These are the Power Weight, Power Bracer, Power Belt, Power Lens, Power Band, Power Anklet, and the Macho Bracer. All of the power items add 4 EVs to every Pokemon KO and can be doubled by Poke Rust as well. So if I KO a Pokemon that gives me 1 EV while holding a power item and I have Poke Rust, I gain 10 EVs instead of 2. This is 12 for Pokemon that give 2 EVs and 14 for a Pokemon that gives 3 EVs. The Macho Bracer just doubles the total EVs gained when you KO a Pokemon. So with 1 EV, Poke Rust and Macho Bracer becomes 4, 2 becomes 8, and 3 becomes 12. Between all of these items, it becomes really easy to exactly customize how many EVs you gain in a specific stat. It's also important to find good locations where a Pokemon that only gives 1 stat spawns at a high rate for efficient training. Here's the Pokemon and locations of them that I used. Route 8 Surfing gives you a 100% spawn rate for Stunfisk, who give 2 HP EVs each. Dragon Spiral Tower has a 100% spawn rate for Golett, who give 1 attack EV each. I also used Route 1 after realizing both Patrat and Lillipup give 1 attack EV each at a way lower level. Wellspring's Cave has a 50% spawn rate for Roggenrola, who give 1 defense EV each. Celestial Tower has a 100% spawn rate for Litwick on floor 2, who give 1 special attack EV each. Driftvale City has a 100% Frillish spawn rate, who gives 1 special defense EV while surfing, and Route 1 while surfing has a 100% spawn rate for Basculin, who give 2 speed EVs each. Lastly, I think it's important to mention the way I kept track and EV trained in general. Terrakion and Thundurus were powerful enough at the start that they could KO all the Pokemon they needed to by themselves. I made sure to give them a move that had high PP and used its remaining PP to count the amount of KOs I had left. For example, Hidden Power has 15 PP. If I needed to kill 12 Stunfisk, I'd use Hidden Power, which is a 1-hit KO on Stunfisk with my Thundurus, and then I would use the move until I was at 3 PP remaining. For the other Pokemon who are all level 1 since they were bred, I'd have to switch train them by leading with them and then switching to a stronger teammate who could get the KO. I'd always start EV training with the highest level opponent. For example, on Carablast, I'd need to start with attack since Goletts are in their 30s. This gave Carablast enough EXP so that when it came time to train any of the other stats, it was a high enough level to take Pokemon like Roggenrola and Wellspring Cave on by itself. I do this because switch training takes a slightly more amount of time, so I'd like to save as much time as possible by planning my EV training routes out this way. Since you now know my general EV training process, I'm going to break down what vitamins each Pokemon took, how many Pokemon I needed to KO, followed by how long each Pokemon in total took. So I did Rocha the Terrakion first, and its spread is 20 HP, 212 attack, 12 defense, 12 special defense, and 215 speed. So I used 2 HP ups, 10 proteins, 1 iron, 1 zinc, and 10 carbos. Then I had to KO 13 Golett, 16 Basculin, 1 Roggenrola, and 1 Frillish. This took about 25 minutes, which wasn't too bad. Cider the Thundurus was up second, and its EVs were 244 HP, 156 defense, 8 special attack, 80 special defense, and 16 speed. So I gave it 10 HP ups, 10 irons, 8 zincs, and 1 carbos. After that, I had to KO 12 Stunfisk, 8 Roggenrola, 4 Litwick, and 2 Basculin. This took about 20 minutes from start to finish. Those two were pretty easy because they could do all the KOing by themselves. Now on to the babies. Hot Topic My Gothita was third on the EV training list. Her EV spread is 252 HP, 156 defense, 20 special attack, 12 special defense, and 68 speed. I started by giving her 10 HP ups, 10 irons, 2 calciums, 1 zinc, and 6 carbos. Then I KO'd 15 Stunfisk using the swap method. After all the Stunfisk were done, Hot Topic was strong enough to take on the 8 Roggenrolas, 1 Basculin, and 1 Frillish on her own. This was the shortest one yet, taking only 16 minutes. I think this is a consequence of having lots of EV spreads across many different stats, meaning I EV'd Hot Topic with vitamins more than I did with Pokemon KOs. Gragan the Dino was up next for the gym. His final spread is going to be 244 HP, 4 defense, 132 special attack, 12 special defense, and 116 speed. So we start with 10 HP ups, 10 calciums, 1 zinc, and 10 carbos. Then we use the swish method to KO 12 Stunfisk. After that, Gragan is strong enough to KO the 2 Basculin, 1 Frillish, 4 Litwicks, and 1 Roggenrola on his own. Overall, this took 20 minutes total. A little bit slower than Hot Topic, topic, but the Pokemon are still blazing by as I EV train them. Joe the Timber is up next, and his final EV spread is going to be 252 HP, 12 attack, 20 defense, 164 special defense, and 60 speed. This means I start with 10 HP ups, 1 protein, 2 irons, 10 zincs, and 6 carbos. After that, we move on to KO 15 Stunfisk and 7 Frillish using the swap method. Once those are done, Joe can KO the 1 Patrat by himself without any help. This whole process took about 18 minutes in total, and I think despite using vitamins entirely for 2 different stats, the switch training really bogged it down. Finally, we have Goodbug the Carablast. Her final EV spread will be 252 HP, 212 attack, 4 defense, 4 special defense, and 36 speed. So I start with 10 HP ups, 10 proteins, and 3 carbos. From there, I move on to KO 15 Stunfisk using the swap method. At that point, Goodbug is strong enough to KO the 12 Patrat and Lillipup on her own to get to 212 attack. Then I KO the 1 Basculin to get to 34 speed and 1 Purloin to get to 36. Lastly, we just KO 1 Roggenrola and Frillish to finish off our EV training, and that took about 19 minutes total. In total, the EV training added 1 hour and 58 minutes to our clock, bringing our grand total to 18 hours and 41 minutes. So now we're going to be leveling up. In these games, this is something that can take a while, but there are a few things I can do to speed it up and make sure it goes smoothly. First of all, we need the Lucky Egg item. You get this by playing the story, and it gives the Pokemon holding it a 150% increase in EXP gained. The next important thing we need to do is use the EXP Pass Power from the entry. This grants me an additional 200% increase of my EXP gained. The last thing we're going to do is make sure I'm fighting Audinos as much as possible. This Pokemon gives me the most EXP in the game that's easily repeatable. Also, since we're in Gen 5, you get less EXP the higher level you are compared to the Pokemon that you're KOing, so we want to fight the highest level Audino possible. This led me to my grinding spot, the Giant Chasm Interior, where you can find Audino up to level 55 in Shaken Grass patches. So my general strategy was to run around until a Shaken Grass spot appeared, put a Repel on, use a Pass Power, and then run into the grass patch and KO the Pokemon that spawned, which had an 80% chance to be an Audino. I'd also have to do a lot of switch training with the weaker members of my team. I think despite the fact that you have to switch into another Pokemon to get the KO, switch training is still faster than using an EXP share because you gain so much more EXP by holding a Lucky Egg. For Rocha, I had to get to level 73 to get close combat, and I also made a stop in Relic Castle to get the TM for Earthquake since I didn't already have it. In total, this took me about 34 minutes of grinding from level 42. Next up was Hot Topic. She is level 23 and needs to be level 50 and to be a Gothitelle. She already has all her moves from various TMs, so this only took about 15 minutes and 43 seconds. She ended up getting to level 51 just because she got so much EXP off the last Audino. Cider was up next and only needs to be level 50. Just before leveling, I took the time to give him the 3 TMs he needed in Substitute, Thunderbolt, and Thunder Wave, which I already had. Then we got to grinding. This only took 6 minutes and 32 seconds, including giving Cider the TMs to get to level 50, which is insanely quick. That's the power of only needing 9 levels without switch training though, I guess. Goodbug doesn't just need to level up, but she needs to evolve, so I'll do that first. I have a copy of Black with a Shelmet I'll trade with quickly, and now she's a lovely Escavalier. Now I need to get her to level 50 from 21. I switch trained at first, but once she hit level 42, she was able to solo KO the Audino without too much effort. All in all, evolving and leveling up took about 18 minutes and 46 seconds, with just the trading to evolve taking 5 minutes. Gragan has to get himself from level 21 to 64 just to evolve. I was dreading this, but it actually wasn't so bad. But why wasn't it as bad as I thought? Well, because once he hit level 50, I just dumped 14 rare candies into him and I never looked back. He also gained his final move, Dragon Pulse, during this level grinding session. All in all, this took about 16 minutes to get him to level 64. But Blisy, I hear you ask, where the heck did those 32 rare candies from? In short, I got them while grinding for PP ups, but I'll cover that in more detail in the next section, I promise. Lastly, we have Joe, who is level 23 and needs to be both level 50 and evolve via trade. First thing I do is give him his final move via TM, which is Rock Slide. Then after 9 minutes, he hit level 50 and it was a Girder. After a quick trade, aka 4 minutes and 16 seconds, he evolved into a Conkeldurr and our entire team is complete. It only took 1 hour and 44 minutes, making our grand total 20 hours and 25 minutes to get all our Pokemon at the level they need to be and have all the moves they need. Surely we're done, right? Well, not quite. As I alluded to with Gragan, we actually have to grind for PP ups because every single one of Ray Rizzo's Pokemon has the max PP for every move, which means he either used a PP max or 3 PP ups on every single attack for every member of his team. This was the most daunting and grind heavy section of the entire team building process. Why? Well, it's because there's a limited quantity of PP maxes in the game and there's no easy way to get more. However, while PP up is repeatable, it's not exactly easy or quick to get a lot of them. In total, I would need 72 PP ups, 3 for every move. The first way to get PP ups is via pickup with a Pokemon that is level 81 or higher. You have a 4% chance to get one after battle, and not really easy. The other way is to trade a man in Anvil Town star pieces. One star piece gets you 1 PP up from this guy. So I hatched a plan. I prepped my team of Lanoons, and I did this by cloning a bunch of rare candies and emeralds, catching a Lanoon with pickup, and then using the rare candies to get it to level 81. Then I cloned that Lanoon a bunch of times and traded the squad all the way up to Pokemon White to begin my pickup grind. My strategy was to go to the route north of Undella Town where you can find wild Starmies or Staryus while surfing. They have a chance to carry a star piece. I would teach my Lanoons Thief and then KO Starmie and Staryu with Thief, hoping for a star piece from Thief and PP ups from pickup. I grinded as much as possible. I would do it every day at work during my 15-minute breaks and my lunch. I also did a few recording sessions at home when I had time to kill, just to have nice game footing. As you can see, even with 6 Lanoons, I often got no items from pickup at all, and Staryu and Starmie were not even that common. And when they did spawn, they only had a 5% chance of holding a star piece. I began to feel like this would take forever. After several days and probably like 3.5 hours total of grinding, I had 8 PP ups and 5 star pieces. I understand this isn't really that bad, but I began to wonder if there was a faster way. And sure enough, YouTube user DopeFrog made a video about how to RNG manipulate the results of pickup, and I got to work learning the methodology. It's really easy, but there are some limits. And the main one is that you can really only RNG 3 at a time. But after searching for a seed, I eventually found one that gives me 3 PP ups after the battle ends. This drastically sped things up, and it got to the point where I wasn't even using EonTimer to hit my seed since I had to hit it so often. I would load up the game at 46 seconds, listen to chat out 9 times, and get into a battle with a Woobat and KO it, and I would have my 3 PP ups. I repeated this until I had way too many. For some reason, I got 146 of them. I think I did a random piece of math wrong, and I thought I needed more than I did. However, it was pretty fast once I figured out how to RNG them. In total, this took me about 6 hours and 32 minutes, counting both the RNG and the regular grinding, but not counting the fact that I got double the amount that I needed. Whoops. After the PP ups, we're over 24 hours. We're now at 26 hours and 25 minutes, over 1 full day. But we're in the home stretch now. We just have to get the items. The final thing my team needs is their items. I need a citrus berry for Hot Topic, Charty berry for Cider, a choice scarf for Rocha, a chopple berry for Gragan, an aqua berry for Goodbug, and a leftovers for Joe. Joe is easy. You can find leftovers using the dowsing machine on Village Bridge. However, I didn't even need to do that. I have 12 leftovers from my pickup grinding, so that's already done. I'm not even going to count any time spent, since that would have been done during the 6 hours of pickup grinding I did. The next are the berries, and I guess I'll start with the simplest, the citrus berry. There's an NPC in Driftvale who will give you a basculin for a Minccino, and his basculin just has a citrus berry on it. So I do the trade and give the citrus berry to Hot Topic, and what do you know, there's 7 citrus berries in my bag? I guess I must have gotten them from Pokemon Rangers who give you berries when you win? I don't know, I didn't even think to check. Oh well, that only took 2 minutes and 43 seconds anyway. The next berries up are the damage reduction berries, and I'll start with the easiest of these, which is the chopple berry. This berry is unobtainable in Pokemon Black and White. It was Dream World only, and so I spent a lot of time thinking on what I should do for this. Maybe I would grind up Join Avenue in Black and White 2, or maybe I would use the Entralink editor again and get it that way. Ultimately, both of these choices felt inorganic to me. So I put out a tweet asking if anyone had chopple berries in Black or White, and Sasha Mitrala on Twitter responded that they did. So we used alt Wi-Fi to connect and use a Wi-Fi trade where they gave me a chopple berry. I asked them if this was a Black and White 1 game or a Black and White 2 game, and they confirmed it's from the Black and White 1 Dream World, and they got it years ago, which is exactly what I was looking for. Ultimately, I could not get this one without help from someone else in the community, but I think that's one of the strengths of Pokemon. There's always someone out there willing to help you trade, which harkens back to the original mentality of the series. A Game Freak exec getting a rare drop in Dragon Quest he wished he could have given to his friend. This trade just took about 5 minutes to complete. I won't count all the asking and waiting on Twitter towards my time. Back in the day, this would have been a completely different amount of time using the Dream World anyway. Next up is Charty Berry, and I'll be RNG manipulating for this one too. It's pretty easy, and it's the value of the 32-bit upper 5 frames after your current PRNG frame shifted to the right by 32. This will give you a value between 0 and 99, and for items like the Charty Berry that are only a 5% chance, we need a value between 60 and 79 if we have a Pokemon with compound eyes in the lead slot. So the first thing I'll do is catch a Pokemon with that ability. This took like 2 minutes. Literally the first Joltik I caught had it. Once that's out of the way, we can do the RNG. I basically just picked a random seed until I found a 5% item on a relatively low frame, with the Pokemon I needed being 5 frames before it. So it's just a normal RNG manip with 2 shout-out flips, and then I use Thief on the Swellow to steal the Charty Berry. In total, this RNG took about 2 minutes and 30 seconds. After the Charty Berry was the Alka Berry, which is literally the exact same process on a Mawile in Challenger's Cave. I couldn't use the exact same seed, but yeah, it's the same process. Do a few shout-out flips, get into a battle, steal the berry. This took about 4 minutes and 10 seconds, and literally half of that was the travel time. Onto the final, most daunting item, the Choice Scarf. There's actually 2 ways to get this. One is to have Pokemon from 30 different original trainers, and a person in the Castelia City Pokemon Center will just give you the item. The other is to get 48 BP in the battle subway. And while it's certainly possible to do this using the 30 different OT method, whether it be my own games resetting over and over just trading the starter, or by going onto the Alt Wi-Fi GTS, I decided to do the BP method. This is partially because I thought it would be a bit faster, and partially because I wanted to give my team a test on the double battle subway. Now luckily, I'm not starting from 0, since I had done some battle subway before the power item. I have a grand total of 1 BP. So with my 1 BP, I first made my way to Subway Boss Eme, which took a streak of 20 battles to get to. This wasn't too bad, however, it only granted me a total of 17 BP after 21 wins. But this was only to unlock the Super Train. This would both let me fully get used to using my new VGC team and earn more BP than I could before. On the regular doubles train, you earn 3 BP for each streak of 7 you get until you get to 21, then you earn 10 for beating the boss. But on the Super Doubles train, you earn 5 for your first 7, and then 6, and then 7, and then 8 and 9, and so on, and 30 if you beat the boss. Ultimately, I made it to a streak of 30 before failing, after which I had claimed a total of 43 battle balls. It's funny, despite that 1 BP seeming like a joke, it actually saved me 7 battles. You see, winning 7 here now grants me 5 BP again, and that lands me on exactly 48 BP, exactly the cost of the Choice Scarf. If I had 0 BP, I would have had to win 7 more battles to get more BP. And with that, our journey has come to a close. I did this entire battle subway section in 1 sitting. It took me 1 hour and 44 minutes total to get this one single item. That is a lot of time for just one item, guys. All in all 5 items took me a total of 1 hour and 58 minutes to get. And almost all of that was the Choice Scarf. So after all is said and done, we're sitting at 28 hours, 58 minutes, and 48 seconds of real-time play to get this team. Holy cow, that's a lot of time investment just to make one single team. I have been keeping a secret from all of you. Both my Capture DS and my DS Lite that I take on the go have a mod chip installed that let me overclock my DS. I can't and have been playing these games nearly the entire time at 1.7 times the speed normal people can play them. This means my final playtime, if I had done everything at a normal speed, would have been 49 hours and 15 minutes. I mean, I think I played and built this team with reasonable efficiency. And that's an insane amount of time for one team. The only time I really even screwed up badly was Timber, and that shows by adding a huge chunk of time to the process. But man, so much of this was just spent grinding for pickup or doing the battle subway, just monotonous, boring stuff. I didn't have RNG manipulation. I literally cannot even theorize how long it would take to build a team in this game. You just couldn't go for a Pokemon with any more than 3 perfect IVs reasonably. It'd be impossible. I am truly glad Game Freak has made team building way less ridiculous. This kind of stuff is definitely why all the pros resorted to hacking a lot. And I think it is unfortunate that that culture of hacking, that culture of needing to make a team quickly has stuck around despite how accessible the games have gone. And while I really like RNG manipulation, it shouldn't be mandatory to make a team, right? It's unfortunate that this is how it used to be, and it's unfortunate that because of how things used to be, it is encouraged hacking to this day. Hopefully this has provided you on some perspective why hacking is so prevalent in Pokemon, but I hope it's changed. And I hope it continues to get easier. I think Gen 8 is really great in terms of how easy things are, and I hope Gen 9 is even easier than Gen 8. If everyone enjoyed this video and this idea, please let me know. I'd love to do it again. Let me know what gen and what metagame you'd like to see a team build for. I will do any VGC or Smogon metagame that isn't Gen 1 or 2. I'm personally the most interested to do a VGC 2013 video because of a certain Korean Magmar, but I also think Smogon metagames are hilarious too because of how many insane old moves you'd have to get for a Pokemon to be good. Thank you for watching, everyone, and have a great day. I want to do a big shout out to all of my channel members. Thank you guys so much for supporting me. It means the world to me. Currently, I'm trying to get to 75 channel members, so if you enjoyed this video and if you enjoy my live streams, please consider hitting the join button down below. And a super special shout out to Arlitz and Shadow Blitz 56, my Blissed God tier of members. Thank you guys so much for your generosity and support.